Assalamu alaikum students, grade 8 students, this is your mathematics marked assignment and this assignment was of 20 marks. The topic of the assignment was algebraic identities and solving quadratic equations by factorization. And since this assignment is on identities, so you can see that in each question it is clearly mentioned that you have to solve this using identities. This means you have to use identities. If you will not use identities properly, you will not be getting marks. So I have checked your assignments and I found some common mistakes in those assignments. So I decided to make a video on the solution of that marked assignment so that the problems can be addressed. Moving on with the solution of question number one, the question was evaluate each of the following using identities. This question is of 3 marks. It has only one part. And if you focus on the first word is evaluate. Evaluate means you have to find the value. And you have to find the value by using identities. You are not allowed to use a calculator. You are not asked to multiply 399 two times and then write the answer. You have to use identities to find the value. So we did a question like this in the class. It is basically an exercise question. So in order to solve it using identity, I have to break this number. I have to break this number into two numbers because my identities have two terms inside the bracket. These are the three identities which we have discussed in the class several times. I have written them on the top just to have a revision, just to have a look at it. These are basically the three identities. This is the first one with a positive sign in between, a plus b whole square. And this is exactly equals to the square of the first term plus square of the second term plus twice the product of the first and the second term. So this is the identity. This first identity with the positive sign. The negative one is a minus b whole square. The only difference is of the sign. The first term is the same, a square, square of the first term plus square of the second term. Then comes the sign of minus. The only difference between the two identities. If there is a positive sign between the two terms, the twice ab term will be positive, and if there is a negative sign, the twice ab term will be negative. And the third identity is the square identity, in which we have individual squares, a square minus b square, and we just use two brackets. In the first bracket, we add the two terms. In the second bracket, we subtract the two terms. So these are the three identities which you have to use or you will be using to solve this assignment, or I can say you have used it. Many of you have done it correctly, but there are some students who are still confused. So I hope by watching this video, you will clear your confusions. Moving on to the solution of the first part, this is 399 whole square. Since I have to use identity, so I have to break this number into two, and I told you to choose a number whose square is very much easy to find or whose square you know very well. So I will break this number into two numbers. The first one will be 1 and the second one will be 400, just like this. These are basically some samples from your marked assignment. So I decided to share it since this is a good thing, and I want to share my students' work. So I decided to just have a snap of it and just share with you guys. And this is 399 whole square. So I can write this 399 whole square like this: 400 minus 1. I have to break this 399 into two numbers because in the first and the second identity, I have two numbers. Both comprises of two numbers, so I have to break this 399 into two numbers, and I have to choose those two numbers. I can apply identity number one by choosing a number that add up to 399, or I can use identity number two over here as well by choosing two numbers that can be subtracted to give me 399. So the student picked 401. Why did he or she pick 400? Because it is very much easy to get the square of 400. I told you a technique of getting a square of a number that has zeros. So 400 minus 1 is equals to 399. So this will be 400 minus 1 whole square. And now I have transformed this number into my factorized form. This is called the factorized form with the brackets, and this is called the expanded form. So I have this form. I have to convert this into this form. So square of the first term is 400. So square of 400 will be 160,000. 4 square is 16, and since there are two zeros, 2 0 multiplied by 2, so this will be 4 zeros. So I have written 4 zeros over here. Then a negative sign twice. The product of the first and the second term, product means multiply. So 400 multiplied by 1 will be 800 multiplied by 2, and plus the square of the last term. The square of the last term is 1. 1 square will be 1. On simplifying, I have to subtract first and then add. I will get the final answer, that is 159201. So this is the way of solving this type of question. When you are asked to evaluate using identities, you have to show these steps because they are of 3 marks. When you will show these steps, you will get 3 marks. If you are not showing these 3 steps, you are directly writing the answer, you will not get marks. The second question is, I have to expand each of the following using algebraic identities. Since I told you that this is the factorized form and this is the expanded form, so we have 2x minus y, 2x plus y. So I know that this is basically the factorized form with the bracket. So this is given to me, and I have the first bracket with the positive sign and I have the second bracket with the negative sign. So what will I do? I will just use the third identity to factorize it, to expand it. So I will just take the first term. The first term is 2x, and I will take the square of 2x. 2x square will be 4x square, and then the negative sign, and then the square of y will be y square. 2x whole square means I have to take the square of 2. The square of 2 is 4, and I will also take the square of x. X square is x square. So this is basically the factorized form with the brackets, and this is the expanded form without the bracket. So I have to expand this question. I have to remove the brackets. I can also do it by multiplying it. I know how to multiply two brackets. I can also do that. But since the question is saying that you have to use identities, so I will just use the identity number 3 to get my final answer. And the final answer is 4x square minus y square. In part number 2, again, I have been given with the factorized form a minus b whole square. This is the second identity with the negative sign. A over here is 1 and b over here is 3x. So I will use the same formula. Square of the first term will be 1 square, and square of the second term will be 3x whole square. Since this is the negative identity, so I will use the negative sign, minus twice the product of the first term. The first term is 1 and the second term is 3x. 1 square is 1, plus 3 square is 9, x square is 9x square, and minus 2 times 3 is 6, so 6x. You can also write 9x square first. You can also write it like this, 9x square and then minus 6x and then plus 1. Both answers are correct. So this was again the same question, and we have used identities in this question as well. The third question you have to factorize. This is basically the expansion, question number 2, and the question number 3 is basically the factorization. I have been given with the expanded form. Expanded form is given to me. I have to convert this into the factorized form. So looking at the first question, this is 25x square plus 100x plus 100. There are two positive signs. So in the first identity, I have two positive signs. So this is the first identity, the expanded form of the first identity, and I have to convert this expanded form into the factorized form. So I will first do a checking step, and I will write the first term as the whole square, and I can write the first term as a whole square like this. I can write 5x whole square, and the last term I can also write it hundreds. I know that 100 is also a square, and by taking the square root of 100 I can find the value 10. 10 square is basically 100. So this is basically satisfying my first two conditions. The first term is also a square. The last term is also a square. Now I have to check the middle term, that is the twice of the product of the two. And I can clearly see that the first term is 5x and the second term is 10. And this is basically the twice of the first term and the second term. When I will multiply this, 2 multiplied by 5 will be 10, and 10 multiplied by 10 will be 100x. So this is coming out to be the middle term. So this means this is the expanded form of identity number 1, and I just have to take the first term, that is a. This is the a, and I have written 5x over here, and then I have to take the b, that is 10, and just I have to add them and take a whole square in order to get the factorized form. So this is a plus This is b and whole square. First, you have to check the step. You have to do a checking step in order to identify that whether it is the expanded form or not. And when you have confirmed that this is the expanded form, you just have to convert them into the factorized form by taking the a first term and the second term. Just put a sign of addition because this is a positive identity, and then take the whole square. In the last part, in the second part, this is 36 x square minus 169 y square. This is again, I have to check which one is the identity. This one is the identity because I know that there are individual squares. I know that 36 is a square of 6 and x is also a square, so I can write it like this. And when I will move forward, I know 169 is also a square of 13, so I will write 13y whole square. So this is identity number 3 since I have squares. So I will just make two brackets, one with a positive sign and the other one with a negative sign. So I will write 6x minus 3y first and then 6x plus 13y, sorry. This is 13. So 6x plus 13y and 6x minus 13y. So this is the answer of part number B. You just have to write, you have to make two brackets, the first one with a positive sign and the second one with a negative sign. The answer will be 6x plus 13y and the other one will be 6x minus 13y. Moving on to question number 4. Moving on to question number 4. In question number 4, you have to solve it. And you guys know that by saying solve, we means we have to find the value of the variable. Solve means we have to find the values of the variable. And we can find the value of the variable of an equation. This is basically an equation. So I have to find the value of a. And since it has a 2 degree on it, this is a quadratic equation. So the answers will be 2. I will be getting 2 answers. And I have to solve this. I know that this is again an identity. This is basically a square of 11 and this is the square of a. So I have written it as 11 square minus a square equals to 0. And by applying third identity, I will make two brackets, the first one with a negative sign, the second one with a positive sign. And since both the brackets are equal to 0, so I will just one by one equate both the brackets equal to 0 and find the value of a. This is 11 minus a equals to 0. This minus a will shift on the other side and the value of a will be 11. And this is 11 plus a and I will shift this 11 on the other side. The value of a will be minus 11. In part B, I will just shift this 15 on the other side in order to make it a quadratic equation. 8h square minus 2h, this is positive 15. And when will it go on the other side? It will become minus 15 equals to 0. And now I can see that there is nothing common between the three terms. And since there are three terms, I can simplify it. I can factorize it by using middle term breaking method. So I have to break the middle term and I know that 18 multiplied by 5 is 120. So the two factors are minus 12h and plus 10h. The first term will be as it is 8h square. The last term will be as it is minus 15. And now I will make pairs to take common. These are the first two pairs. I can take 4h as common from these two. The bracket will be 2h minus 3. If I will take 4h as common from here, 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. And since there are 2h, I have taken 1h as common. So there will be 1h remaining minus 3. Plus I have to take 5 as common. So I will take 5 as common. The bracket will again be 2h minus 3 because 5 times 2 is 10 and I haven't taken h as common, so h will be inside. Minus 5 times 3 is 15. 2h minus 3 is common on both the sides, so I will take it as common. The remaining thing will be inside a bracket 4h plus 5. Since these two brackets are equal to 0, so I will equate them one by one equal to 0. 2h minus 3 equals to 0. This minus 3 will move on to the other side. 0 plus 3 will be 3. And this 2h, this 2 is being multiplied. It will go on other side. It will get divided. So h will be equals to 3 upon 2. 4h plus 5 equals to 0. This is positive h. This is positive 5. It will go on other side. It will become negative 5. And this 4 is being divided. This 4 is being multiplied and it will go on the other side to get divided. And the other value of h will be minus 5 upon 4. Since this h has a square power, so there will be two answers of h. The first one is 3 upon 2 and the other one is minus 5 upon 4. This was question number 4. The last question is question number 5, in which we have to find the value again. We have to find the value of x square plus y square. The given is x minus y whole square is 441, and the value of x multiplied by y, the product of xy, is given 46. And I can clearly relate it to the identity. This is the second identity where I will use this formula: a minus b whole square is equals to a square plus b square minus 2ab. This will be negative because I am using the negative identity, so this will be negative sign. And I will relate this identity to just change the variable over here. X minus y whole square will be x square plus y square minus 2xy. Since I have been given the value of x minus y square, so I will just write 441. This is basically 441. So I will just solve it at the bottom. And this is basically 441. So I will just write 441 like this. So I will solve it over here just to clear the confusion. This is 441. The value of x minus y whole square is 441. So I have written 441 over here. And then with the equals to sign, x square plus y square. Since I don't have the value of x square plus y square, so I will just write x square plus y square like this because I don't have the value. And then minus 2 times the product of xy, so minus 2. And then inside the bracket, I know the value of xy. The value of xy is 46. So I will just write inside the bracket 46, and I will just multiply it. This is basically 441, and this is x square plus y square. Since I don't have the value of x square and y square, so I will just write them again. And I will multiply 2 and 46. That will give me 92. And I will just shift this 92 on the other side since I have to find the value of x square and y square. So I will shift this 92 on the other side, it will get added, and when 441 will be added to 92, I will get the answer 533. So the value of x square and y square, x plus y square, is 441 plus 92. That will give me an answer of 533. So this was the solution of the assignment, marked assignment. And since this was on the topic of identities, so in every question you have to apply identities, and you have to memorize them, you have to use them, because these identities are very much helpful and they are very critical, because in the classes later on you will be using these identities to simplify your questions. So I hope you will like this video and you will clear your confusions by watching this video. If you still have any query on this topic, you can comment on the uh, box, and I will surely make some more videos to clear your confusion.